All right, so let's just real quickly say 2023 is different. There's a lot of headwinds in the market. Some of the unprecedented challenges are that we have pressure to streamline data management, convergence of disciplines, increased focus on software, and reliance on electronic manufacturing services. And so there's a lot of complexity. These are probably some terms that are familiar: global, secure, smart, quality, personalized, connected, sustainable, flexible, integrated, efficient, cost effective. What we want to do is provide a competitive advantage to companies in the form of a comprehensive digital twin, personalized, adaptable, modern solutions, flexible, open systems. And the goal is that you want to change the game and take advantage of opportunities in 2023 and make it a good year. So here's what you want to do. You want to change the game. How? You want to invest smart this year. So we're seeing a lot of companies do more with less resources. People and software, for example, leveraging cloud to simplify administration and speed deployment of tech, improve visibility for tough times, invest in traceability and threads, improve how teams are organized, don't give them more tools to give them less, decrease non-value add tasks, improve variant documentation, a key to differentiation by helping teams to link and reuse. An important thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to avoid investing. You want to prepare for the next boom during times like these. So on today's agenda, I promise to cover introduction and overview, a high-level view of digital threads and requirements, example of requirements across several teams, why ALM is popular compared to other agile tools, and business and technical value and impact, how to measure it as well. And we'll touch upon digital requirements and product excellence. We'll talk about the laptop and infotainment console example we have prepared, how do teams author and manage digital requirements, why this particular tool Plarion has become popular, for what reasons, and concepts on how to change the game for 2023. So you probably have seen the digital threads. I'm sure that many folks, if you've been exposed to Siemens marketing in any way, you know about the digital threads. So we're not going to cover the digital threads today. We're talking about digital requirements within those threads. And we're going to focus on the product confidence. And that's where the digital threads take place at the beginning of design. So if we move in and look at the big picture of what we'll cover today, we're going to talk about integrated requirement management solutions or integrated lifecycle solutions. Talk about digital requirements. We'll talk about cross-team collaboration, and we'll talk about transforming results. Let's start with the product confidence. So digital requirement leverages integrated lifecycle solutions in our world. So that we have the software, mechanical, simulation, electronics domains that are a part of that integrated lifecycle solution. It is a requirements-driven design. It's cross-domain design collaboration. Connection to manufacturing is important in the picture. We help to visualize product collaboration, and then the change process management is all tenets of this in particular solution set. And this is meant to drive product confidence for companies by having this all with a system to help them with digital threads. And so then you look at the product confidence and break that down a step further. So you've got lifecycle solutions. You've got requirements and release management. You have risk management, standards management, quality and test management, simulation, engineering, and modeling. All of this is meant to be in one system. So let's talk about each of these one by one. If I look at lifecycle management, I have information access, I have collaboration, project management, knowledge capture, reuse, workflow, dashboard analytics, and reports. It's important to continue to make you aware that this is designed to be all centralized and in one location in a system. For requirements and release management, we have to capture and prioritize customer requirements. Your customer, our customers, they're the most important people in the picture. Identify and align product requirements. Define and plan capabilities and features. Find, link, and trace requirements and process. I move on to risk management. I have FMEA aspects, risk management plan, risk management results, residual risk analysis, audit reporting and evidence, and then it's also valuable to have templated reuse. Standards, we have templates, we have definitions. You want to capture, track, and have external and internal standards represented. Align to hardware, software, and process. Verify and prove compliance. Rapidly impact analysis is also important for standards. And then, of course, there's the change aspects as that comes along. For quality and test, with use case creation, test protocols, test results documentation and execution, integration of tests with automation tools or use of conditional automation as much as possible, integration with unit testing, and reporting test results. And then finally, after that, you actually want to have a multi-system architecture and have logical and functional modeling, parameter management, and 3D simulation aspects to further explore the simulation aspects and, of course, the model. All of that gets included, and then there's also change management that is modeled at every stage. So there could be introduced some level of change at any one of these stages. So you want to have effective models across this for change management as well, like a form, a template of sorts that helps you to manage change. So that is the integrated approach. And that's kind of the requirements-driven design, the cross-domain design collaboration aspects, the connecting to manufacturing, visual product collaboration, and change process management. These are the tenets. But in order to understand this, the kind of the main reason for this presentation is to talk about examples, to think about how do you put this in play? Let's get away from just the technology and let's talk about it in use. So we're going to look at a laptop, infotainment, and game console as an example. And again, we're starting with the product confidence, so keep that in mind. And we're going to have this product type or set of products, and we're going to have various variants. There are types of variants like a game station, infotainment, and a laptop. First, I need to set out and model this. So when I go and create the model, I'm going to be capturing the customer and product bill of materials. I'm going to be modeling the product build and configuration of the team processes and workflows. And then I'm extending data to different domains that are going to be managed in this situation. Got my different variants here: game, infotainment, and laptop. I'm also going to define, assemble, and plan some design aspects. So I'm going to take it down a level and start looking at a few examples. Now, obviously, these systems have more than this, but we have a display, power, and speed for this example. I also look at the domain architectures, the hardware, software aspects. There's mechanical, electronics, electrical, software, and then if there's any sort of operating system or any sort of other types of software in production, you might have agile software for the overall system architecture aspects. I'm going to author different types of requirements. So now I have these different types of components, and I've got a 32-inch, a 15-inch, a 13-inch monitor, for example, as options. I've got an auto-enabled plug. I've got a plug for the wall. I've got a battery, for example. I have GPU, CPU, and memory to manage for speed, for example. And then I also have compliance and security I need to include. So these are the requirements. They're just examples or samples of like just what I have in play, and I have to mix and match these, right? So I'm going to align and verify dependencies, and my goal is I'm creating specification docs. I'm going to be, and we call them live docs in our world. We have final releases from the software that's developed that helps align and create functionality. I would have those requirements for compliance and security in play. And ultimately, I'm creating a bill of material items with a set of documents that align to each one of these aspects. Now, I also have to consider, I've got my domains, so software might accompany these: mechanical, hardware, software; electronics, hardware, software; electrical, hardware, software; and embedded software in a sort of system that helps to tie it all together. The next step is I might be doing some kind of simulation or exploration to see whether all this is lining up and the assembly is working, and verify that all this works together. And at each of the domain levels, I need to do that sort of verification. I need to have some sort of visual representation of the assembly. I want to have the CAD drawings, etc., right, that have to happen. And then I need to verify the whole thing before I have my verified variants. So each of these, I'm going to now say, okay, I've got my combinations. I've got a 32-inch monitor, a plug into the wall, and some top GPU and memory for the game station, for example. We have a smaller monitor, a different type of plug, and a different combination for the speed on the infotainment. And likewise on the laptop, smaller, different. So now I've got my variants and I'm starting to line these up. The other challenge for companies is now the teams that have to do all this work, and you want them in the same place for efficiency's sake. I've got requirement teams, I've got mechanical, electronics, simulation, software teams, all these different types of engineers. Then I have to verify, and I have a team that looks at the entire bill of requirements, for example, too, to make sure we got it all right. I then consider the different types of processes. We often see things like V&V models, verification, validation. We see Kanban boards for agile cases. We see a lot of project management cases where you have Gantt charts, for example. You'll notice that these are all kind of something that Polarion can handle and take on. So we've got these ability to do all this. These are all representations within Polarion to manage the different types of processes that get mixed and matched with these large teams. Now I'm able to produce my variants, and I have the different processes that are required by the different teams. The next thing I want to do is have visibility over all of this. I want to be able to track the traceability, and we have reports that allow you to visualize and see how all these different components are in play, what tests are taking place, what kind of requirements are linking to other requirements to create the full build. That's all available within Polarion. So the integrated lifecycle solution collaborates across all of these fronts. This is why a lifecycle solution helps for governance over a number of variants in play. You have a lot of different team members with a lot of different expertise: design, hardware, software, QA, and verification, standards, and compliance. So for product confidence, you got to enable these teams and make it so they're able to do collaboration effectively. So today's solution, let's talk about what we see and an example of a company and what kind of landscape they have, what kind of vendor solution they have, because this is relevant. Today, a lot of companies have solutions in-house. You get the job done. The question in years like 2023 is, do you get it done efficiently? So I look at a landscape from a company that we worked with. We can see there's a lot of different solutions on the map here for different things: program management, requirement management, design management, quality, change, project, manufacturing planning is linked into this picture, simulation. The issues are, if I were to just look at the ALM aspects of this, the lifecycle aspects for ALM, a lot of these things are disjointed. There's also a lack, if you notice, there's certain gaps in the project governance and quality, change management, and traceability. And there's certain areas that there is an insufficient solution. This is also not linked very well. So what the challenges are is we have plenty of vendor solutions, so the concept maybe is reduce those. We have some customizations to try to make sure that it is integrated. And we have a lot of integrations in play. And those have to be maintained, they have to be managed. That gets cumbersome. That drags down teams' efficiency. So the other thing happens is you get what's called instance creep. You get a lot of different instances out there, and you're trying to find which one I'm using with. Sound familiar if you got a lot of instances up on your laptop, for example? Duplication of capabilities is common. Missing quality solutions in some of these respects. Immature digital threads. Reporting and traceability is made a lot harder. So you have to go to the right tool to find out what you're doing, and it's not across all tools. Governance then, of course, becomes a lot more difficult to manage, and change management as well. So the improvements and the goals for a digital requirement solution are to reduce the number of instances by having a system and having less hops, reduce duplication and redundancy, perform real agile testing along the requirements as you actually author requirements. You want to mature the linking and requirements to test all the way to manufacturing. You want to simplify reporting and gain traceability and have that visibility that helps you to govern over the process and the projects. And then you also want to have a simplified change management schema across different solutions so that you have less going on. Again, concept maybe less is better, right? So if I looked at an example of that kind of a solution set where it's a full digital integrated lifecycle solution with digital requirements, let's focus on just the requirement aspects. So I got the requirement aspects in the ALM and PLM, for example. The requirements are managed with this integrated lifecycle solution. Got my threads, and the versions are maintained as a complete system. So we manage the different versions across the Siemens stack, for example. And then, of course, we integrate with our own content. It's easier for us to integrate with our own solutions. We've got a very comprehensive suite. And then even the integrations you have with favorite tools, there is a landscape of tools out there that still provide valuable information or different types of capabilities. We still can extend to that ecosystem. But the ecosystem now becomes a lot smaller and it's governed better. So this is going to increase the product confidence by having this integrated lifecycle solution. And remember, it's requirements driven. Cross-domain collaboration is important, as we highlighted. Connecting to manufacturing is important. And visual product collaboration is important. And the change process is important. We touched upon all this, and this is probably, you can now start to see why we are creating these solutions the way we are. To take it a step further, Plarion in particular has some very unique capabilities around collaboration, reuse, traceability, compliance, and interoperability. They add to this picture and actually have made Plarion quite popular. If I take that down and look at some of these, we've got Plarion is enabling project and program management. It enables the different types of workflow options that come our way, the processes that people use. We can control and manage tasks and create some structure and not allow people to do non-value add tasks, like passing emails or reading stuff that they don't really need to read, or things sitting and waiting for somebody to take tasks. We can help focus users' attention, and we can help to manage cross-requirement management and verify that all in one system. Reuse is very important and growing area for us. A data framework, requirements, test cases, objects, code, reuse in all these cases is proving to be valuable. So we're enabling that across many different aspects of the product. Traceability. It's not just requirement traceability, but it's test traceability. It's the document traceability and who's doing what. It's the object and process traceability. And then, of course, having an auditable traceability with historic detail that goes from the very beginning of time. We also have interoperability. As I mentioned, the ecosystem still holds value. So it's very open, very extensible with open APIs and connections. We have central test management now that can be enabled. We can pull data in from different sources. We can unify tracking, make it easier to have traceability outside Plarion by centralizing it within Plarion. We have a number of extensions and connectors because of this ecosystem value. And we can help companies to do project governance over that data. Finally, very popular is Plarion commonly has the complexity of compliance in play. So there's conditional automation that helps to speed that along. There's industry standard templates. We have e-signatures when needed, and audit reports and history are made easier. And then, of course, we can handle the access controls and workforce structure that is important sometimes in the case of compliance. So these are just examples of some of the capabilities that have provided a lot of power for when companies are going through these cycles. If you've seen this before, the governance goes back to the aspects of requirements. There's build release and baseline management. There's the actual models that get used. There's planning and resource management. Those audits, metrics, and reports are important. Issue and risk management, test quality management, reuse, branch management, change configuration management. I show this because remember, there are a lot of tools out there doing some or part or many components of this in a cycle. So this turns out to be a nice life cycle representation, and the governance is valuable. So what commonly we've seen is that when Plarion is part of an ecosystem, it is providing that governance because it captures so many of these fronts. You might snap in or attach a tool that does some of these things, but the governance is what helps provide the visibility, and that's a real strong tenet for Plarion. So that's the part where Plarion's governance and requirement management is very powerful. The traceability, managing it across projects, and of course the baselines and how you manage it is important. All that, and plus the output, the representation is a document. So we'll go back to in a second why that's valuable. But you have the ability to categorize requirements and then formulate a document. So if I go back now and look at my game infotainment laptop, I consider the different requirements in play I'm using. I'm going to now direct those into those categories within Plarion and start to form my documentation. Now I can start to form the documents for each of the different aspects up here in the project variants, have a spec doc for each one, And now I have the documentation very easily laid out for me for each of my different variants. This is why Polarion has become very popular for variant management and requirement management. So the requirement threads are alive and well with this type of solution. Let's talk about impact now. So over a 2-month period of time, this integrated lifecycle solution was actually measured at a company. There was a couple business units that were measured. And they looked at ways of measuring it. They looked at how might reuse improve the way the teams are productive. How does it, if you assemble and do an integration from the beginning of requirement development to manufacturing, how the thread is impacting the business? If you have the non-value add tasks in play, what kind of impact does that have? And then if we have a lot of solutions, if I'm doing more with less, is that, what's the impact of this? So you'll notice that there's a significant improvement in time, in the amount of time it takes to get to market, and the amount of time people need to do their tasks and complete project work. There is a significant amount of time savings in each of those measured areas when they went through and used an integrated lifecycle solution versus the landscape of many vendor solutions. So another way of looking at this too, I commented about the quality and test reviews. When you start requirements and you have this integrated solution and you're including quality and test and you're starting to author and move along with the teams stacked up, the old way of having the rework done, the quality done later on this versus like having everybody work in concert in an agile fashion, you can see the impact. In this case, it has to be about 10% change by having everybody start to stack up. In other words, I want to have quality and test initiated. So the minute I write requirements, I let the test people start to do their work on it in the same environment. This is the unified ALM that makes Polarion unique because of this concept that allows folks to do agile all at once. Okay, so why is Polarion popular? From all these cases, what has made it popular? So we talked about compliance, auto, medical, and aerospace, and with full traceability makes it, this is one reason. Requirements and verification, variant management, managing DevOps and cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is on the rise, and then this concept of integrated lifecycle solution is in concert with Teamcenter. Now, a little bit on Polarion, the requirement management, Teamcenter versus Polarion. Teamcenter is used for assembly, the product assembly, and they have the bill of materials and the building blocks for that assembly. Polarion is used for agile authoring of live document requirements. So you're documenting the requirements. And integrated, they are quite complementary. The similarities with both these, you're going to see a lot of similarities. They're both lifecycle solutions. So of course they have requirement management. They both have reporting, project management, and collaboration capabilities. Where they're a little different is Polarion has a document output, it's agile, and it's simple to configure. It falls in line with how it grew up as an ALM solution, a software development solution. While Teamcenter has bill of materials, program management, the OEM templates, and analytics and cost because it serves for that full assembly at many different industry levels. And if I want to change the game, it's back to talking about what ways and recapping what we talked about and revisiting what we talked about. So because companies are experiencing headwinds, you want to do more with less people. That's encouraged. You want to do more with less software and related resources. You want to save time with digital requirement systems. So you want to invest in these types of systems that really create a much more holistic value to the business. You want to establish threads for greater visibility. You want to improve how document variants are managed across the entire design cycle. And you want to leverage cloud and simplify software administration for yourself and your teams as well. So these are some of the things that are becoming popular now within the last few months. And I want to continue to encourage folks that you just cannot not invest. Doesn't mean you're not going to invest as much as you have in the past, but you still have to keep investing to invest smart. Okay, why? What's it mean? What is the value? What are the markets? What are we after? So now that we've kind of looked at the solutions, what are we really trying to do in the markets? So there's exciting market developments around autonomous, ADAS, safety systems, electrification, UAVs, smart and connected cities, IoT, connected health, smart products, Augmented and virtual reality, manufacturing, military, defense, sales, marketing, recreation. There's a lot of different technologies that are taking place out there. And there are so many different software components that make up these different types of advancements in technology. So having the threads, having to be able to map all this and track all this as it gets placed within the products, that becomes cumbersome. This is part of the reason why Plarion is growing and becoming very popular in value. And the value also translates into a lot of impact, a lot of market share out there to be grabbing, a lot of business to be had, right? So it's important to try to organize on that point. That's how you change the game and make 2023 a good year. Now, one last thing I want to cover is I want to talk about specific industry applications. Plarion is used across industry groups, so I'm going to just highlight some of the industry points for you, and then I will take questions after that. For starters, there's a lot of different industry templates that are in play. Aerospace, you have DO 178-254. You've got the ISO 26262, ASPICE, AUTOSAR, and ADAS and Auto. Electronics, you have compliance, variance, and software development are very popular. The capital project management, bid and tender, popular in energy. Medical devices, we have a lot of FDA compliance. We have templates for both hardware and software. Intelligent design, control, data-driven product development. And we have for semiconductor requirements and verification, functional safety and compliance are in popular use. Number of different subject matter experts that cover each of these industry groups at Siemens. So we have this to provide if you need to find a resource for that purpose. So I'll start with also just a little bit of knowledge about the growth we've seen. Plarion grew 20 to 50% in the past few years for electronics and semiconductor, covering these different types of topics. Authoring, verifying requirements, compliance, building in software and hardware, and integrated lifecycle solutions. It's helped with the variants. It's helped with the requirements in live docs. It's helped with full traceability in companies to prove they're meeting the industry standards for their customer base. It goes hand in hand with empowering companies to properly link all requirements. And it's actually been very valuable in the supply chains because the supply chains are quite deep when it comes to a number of the industry groups. We'll touch upon that too in some of the other industry groups. For industrial machinery, what's nice about Plarion is it's a small deployment and it doesn't take long to get started with a small and medium company or a large company. And then as it starts to expand, it doesn't take much time to start expanding across the organization. That's a value to the industry, to this particular industry. The plant automation, robotics, and software development, machine tools, and or industrial SCADA, and requirements management for capital projects and OEMs. These are some of the areas where Plarion has been leveraged. Plarion X for the SaaS is really starting to grow and be important for deployment cycles. This is the, taking the IT administration out of the picture and making it easier for folks. And the creation of use cases impossible with small and medium companies has been very valuable. Energy, very similar story. There's a lot of standardization that's taking place. Owner operators have standardized globally. There's some pretty significant companies now starting to try to expand rapidly and buy up lots of Plarion. Requirement management for capital projects and deployment of joint ventures and suppliers is just beginning. So the supply chain here also you've seen start to develop. And then you also see that, the enablement with SaaS is important for the picture. Automobile, same kind of concepts as a lot of suppliers at the lower levels are taking hold of trying to move through this very quickly. And at the OEM and tier 1 levels, electrification, autonomous and control engineering is in play. Software development and requirements management is blowing up right now. They too, there are specific segments of the industry like EV and battery management where they're starting to behave like small and medium businesses and starting to leverage SaaS products. Model-based system engineering is important in the picture for structuring across these life cycles. And then, of course, these large and significant OEMs are increasing the uses of requirement management tools, and really that's starting to expand very rapidly. In aerospace, you have traction that's starting to take place in a lot of different startups that are doing all kinds of new technology like air taxis and UAV. Plarion FAA safety certification has an opportunity. There's new parts of the standard that are being managed within the requirement solution. Cybersecurity has been on the rise significantly in this case. DevSecOps is also part of that picture for the DoD contractors. And then there's some new technology and advancements with since we've acquired Mentor a few years back or more, we now continue to advance the digital threads. So we have verification and EDA solutions coming beginning of this year, capital wire harness types of scenarios, we were connecting to that. And then the model-based system engineering workbench is very popular right now. Lifecycle solutions have grown significantly, requirement management, and there's specific interest around the computer software validation and assurance. There's also guidelines that regularly the FDA rolls out, so we have new templates for addressing those. Player Next is starting to be a very interesting topic for small and medium businesses who want to move on requirements quickly. And operational excellence and integration with process controls is important in this particular industry space. So that's what I had to share today on our call. If you want to look at connecting with me on LinkedIn, this is the QR code I have. If you'd like to reach out, please feel free. If you want to follow me, please feel free. I welcome any sort of comments that you might have. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing the presentation and we're going to open it up for any sort of comments or questions. If you want to just go ahead and raise any questions or chats, feel free to at this time. So one of the questions that came in, is there a financial model example of the tracking of project costs? One way that we have tracking project costs within Polarian is really Polarian has any sort of field. You can tailor the fields any way you'd like. So part of what tracking costs involves is capturing the metrics, having the fields and be able to capture the metrics you want to track. So it's important to be able to identify the metrics, be able to have a field placeholder for those things, and then be able to track that. Then it's not difficult to look at creating any sort of reporting for that purpose. Additionally, Teamcenter also has product cost capabilities. So if you happen to have an integration with Teamcenter, there's also the ability to manage project costs within Teamcenter as well. Thank you for that question. It's a good question.